Hi.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the conference call. Our chairperson today is Mr. Patrick Liao. Patrick, please begin your call, and I'll be standing by for the Q&A. Thank you.
Hi, this is Patrick Liao from Macquarie. Thank you, everyone, to participate Global Wafer's second quarter result conference call. Here, please join me to welcome Global Wafer's chairwoman, Mrs. Doris Hsu, and Vice President and spokesperson, Mr. William Chen.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Wafer's 2019 second quarter earnings conference call. This is William Chen, Global Wafer Vice President, as well as company spokesman. We also have Doris Hsu, Chairperson and the CEO of Global Wafers in this call. Doris will give us the executive comments later, and then I will present industry overview and the 2019 Q2 financial performance. The final Q&A session will be hosted by Doris as well. For today's presentation file, we have just uploaded onto our website around 2 hours ago. If you do not have the file on hand, please access into our website to get the most updated file. Please note that some information during our discussion today will consist of forward-looking statements, which are applied throughout the call and this presentation. They are subject to significant risks and uncertainties. Actual results or trends could differ materially from our forecast. Please refer to the safe harbor notice in our presentation, page 2 disclaimer. Now, I'd like to turn the call over to Doris for page 3 executive comment, and I will report you our 2019 Q2 operational performance after. Doris, please.
Thank you, William. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Doris Hsu. Thank you very much for joining us again this afternoon for our second quarter 2019 earnings call. Let me start with some quick summary of our overall performance. We conclude our second quarter with revenue of NT dollar 14.7 billion, 40% gross margin, 31.8% of our operation profit, and 8.15 EPS for the second quarter. William will present full details of our Q2 financial results shortly. GWC Q2 overall financial performance is quite stable. Most notably, our EPS for the first half of 2019 reached NT dollar 17.02 per common share. This is the best ever half-year EPS we have ever achieved. Okay, so that's a rough financial update, and William will provide you more details later on. We have seen stabilizations and recoveries from our customers' overall inventory status and their outlook for the second half of this year. So quite some of our key partners have announced just very recently that their very positive outlook and are expecting recovery from the third quarter or the second half of this year. Many Tier 1 customers also confirmed that they have passed the bottom of the cycle of their business and began to see demand increasing. Nevertheless, some other customers are more conservative on their projection of the market recovery timing due to some macro uncertainties and geopolitical issues. It seems that geopolitical issues are more serious and complicated than anticipated. In general, fueled by increasing contents, various new applications, and advanced technologies, growth in semiconductor industry is very promising and positive, despite of those short-term macro uncertainties and geopolitical issues. From long-term perspective, we are working very closely with our customers for a lot of new innovations, especially for 5G EV, advanced power devices, and many RF applications. Now, let me update the inventory status. Industry inventory correction continues, but it's getting more moderate now. Most of our customers' inventory is being gradually digested in the second quarter and will continue going down throughout the second half of the year. So I think the inventory will be getting more healthier by end of the 2019. Although we are seeing improvement on inventory level and the ramp up of a lot of new technology and innovations, I think macro uncertainties and geopolitical issues remain. Local supplies and extensive global footprints become much more important now. Actually, this is the first time in the last 10 years that we've seen that many of our customers view local supply more so important than before. So with global operations in more than 10 countries, GWC is gaining higher shares from some customers as mitigation of the potential impact from geopolitical issues. In summary, I think market is recovering, but the recovery speed varies in different areas, different applications, and different companies. Those macro uncertainties might slow down the recovery in some area or some products for a couple more quarters. However, it's a clear path to recovery is foreseen. Last but not least, let me talk about our new material. GWC has been developing a lot of compound new materials, including gallium nitride on silicon, silicon carbide, semi-insulating silicon carbide, and gallium nitride on silicon carbide for years. Due to the expected strong demand of 5G, RF, power MOSFET, and EV, many of our customers have very strong demand and interest on those compound wafers, particularly silicon in silicon carbide and gallium nitride on silicon. GWC will quickly ramp up our silicon carbide wafer supply and enable important high-growth industries like EV to reach key adoption milestones sooner and at a much shorter capacity expansion lead time. Silicon carbide will be on GWC's strategic priority list for our future strategic expansion for high volume manufacturing. Thank you everyone for your attention and joining us this afternoon. I will pass the presentation to William for further details. Thank you. William, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Doris. Now let me just share a couple pages of recent industry overview. Please turn to page 7. Annual silicon shipments. A stable worldwide silicon wafer area shipments in 2018 totaled 12,732 million square inch MSI, hitting the record high. After 2 consecutive huge growth years in 2017 and 18, the 2019 first half shipment amounts to 6,034 MSI, which was just a minor decline, minus 3.4% compared to the half period in 2018. Page 8, increase the revenue opportunities generated by 5G. As we all know, 5G will underpin future vehicle service and spur the proliferation of connected cities. And the value generated by 5G was predicted to hit total $6.5 trillion through 2028 in productivity gains, direct contributions, and indirect contributions 3 areas. The revenue generated and the definition of productivity gains, direct contribution, and the indirect contributions were also listed at this page. Page 9, comparing 4G and 5G. Basically, the main improvement from 5G comparing to 4G will include increasing data transmission speed, reducing time lapse, saving operations energy, enlarging system capacity, and enhancing wider range devices connection. From this page, we can see the dramatic number changed in latency, reducing to 1/10 from 10 milliseconds to less than 1 millisecond. Data traffic growing 7 times from 7.2 exabytes per month to 50 exabytes per month. Peak data rates increasing 20 times from 1 gigabyte per second into 20 gigabytes per second. Available spectrum expanding 10 times from 3 GHz to 30 GHz. Connection density enlarging 10 times from 100,000 connections per square kilometer to 1 million connections per square meters. Page 10, massive IoT connections. After 5G rollout, one of the most important applications would be massive IoT connections. It was estimated worldwide IoT connections anticipated to grow from 8.6 billion to 22.2 billion through 2024. Short-range IoT surged to 17.8 billion with 15% CAGR. Wide area IoT, including cellular IoT, increases to 4.4 billion with 27% CAGR. Page 11, silicon carbide and gallium nitride global market forecast. For the silicon carbide and gallium nitride global market forecast, energized by demand from power supplies, PV inverters, and adoption in the main powertrain inverter in hybrid and electrical vehicles. The silicon carbide and gallium nitride power semiconductor market was estimated to huge growth at 35% CAGR to $1 billion in 2020, then exceed $10 billion in 2027. Page 12, silicon carbide power device market size. The total silicon carbide-based power device market is expected to grow steadily with 31% CAGR, reaching around $1.58 billion in 2023. The main applications industries with higher market size in 2023 will be EV, HEV, motor drivers, rail, PFC, PV, and charging infrastructures. Now, let's move to 2019 Q2 financial results. Please turn to page 14, 2019 Q2 financial highlights. In 2019 Q2, just like Doris mentioned earlier, given the macro market continue uncertain, GWC still reached the relatively stable financial performance as Q1. We achieved the best half-year performance in the history. Number one, revenue and the gross margin. We continued with 2019 Q1 remarkable performance. 2019 Q2 carries on strong financial results, with stable revenue, also hit the second best in history in gross margin percentage, OP percentage, and profit percentage. Number two, EPS. 2019 Q2 EPS amounts to 8.15 NT dollars. 2019 first half EPS is all-time high, exceeding over half of 2018 full year. Number three, financial leverage. We got a sufficient net cash position near 38 billion NT dollars. We also had prepayment 22.4 billion NT dollars. About the free cash flow, we generated 7.8 billion NT dollars from operations, that representing 26% of the revenue as of 2019 first half. Number four, dividend. Our cash dividend of 25 NT dollars per share will be distributed on August 9th, totaled 10.9 billion NT dollars with 80.2% payout ratio. For these item details, I will explain more in later pages. Page 15, YOY financial highlights, 2019 Q2 versus 2018 Q2. Comparing to 2018 Q2, we had most items YOY growth in 2019 Q2, especially for operating profits with 13.3% growth, and the operating profits percentage reached 31.8%, which was even 3.1% higher than 2018 Q2. Page 16, financial highlights, 2019 first half, versus 2018 first half. As mentioned in previous pages, in 2019 first half, GWC created the best half-year performance in the history. Here is the comparison for both 2019 first half to 2018 first half. For revenue, we achieved the half-year sales revenue 30.3 billion NT dollars in 2019 first half. That was 7.1% growth comparing to 2018 first half. For EBITDA, we had all-time high half-year record 12.2 billion NT dollars in 19 first half. It's 14.7% growth from 10.7 billion in 18 first half. In terms of EBITDA percentage, it had YOY 2.7% increasing from 37.7% in 18 first half to 40.4% in 19 first half. About operating profit, it was also half-year all-time high 9.9 billion NT dollars in 19 first half. That's 22.7% up from 8 billion in 18 first half. In terms of operating profit percentage, we had reached as high as 32.6% in 19 first half. That is 3.6% higher than 18 first half. For net profit, comparing to 18 first half, 6.3 billion NT dollars, GWC earned another half-year all-time high 7.4 billion NT dollars. Net profit in 2019 first half, that is 17.8% growth. Besides, for 19 first half, net profit percentage has been rising up to all-time high 24.4%. That was 2.2% more than 18 first half. About EPS, GWC also earned record-breaking 17.02 NT dollars in 19 first half. It was 2.66 NT dollars more than 18 first half, or say 18.5% growth. Page 17, QOQ financial highlights, 2019 Q2 versus 2019 Q1. As known, because of world trade tensions, the worldwide semiconductor market demands were turning softer from the peak in middle of 2018. The conflicts were not resolved but continued in Q2. Therefore, most customers were still very conservative and continue adjusting their inventory. That caused the Q2 macro and the spot demand were not recovered but eroded still. However, similar in Q1, GWC had very high capacity percentage were utilized and executed by LTA coverage. That helped company completed the much stable Q2 revenue and the financial results than market. Q2 results were just slightly lower than Q1, especially in revenue, EBITDA percentage, operating profit percentage, net profit percentage, and EPS. Page 18, revenue and the gross margin. Q2 revenue and the gross margin maintained at a high level against the changing industry and the macro uncertainties. Our gross margin still kept higher than 40.1%, which was the second high in company history, just next to Q1, 41.0%. Page 19, EBITDA and EPS. We reached 12.2 billion NT dollars EBITDA and 40.4% EBITDA percentage in 2019 first half. That was best ever EBITDA revenue percentage. EPS amounts to 17.02 NT dollars. That was also surpassing 50% of 2018 full year EPS. Page 20, financial leverage. By 2019 first half, GWC has financial structure with holding net cash 38 billion NT dollars, which included around 22 billion NT dollars prepayment and with almost zero bank loan. This sufficient net cash position would be company reinforcement of sustainable development in the future. Page 21, dividend payout. Same as usual, this year GWC will keep high dividend payout policy and bring out profitable earnings for shareholders. In June, GWC 2019 AGM had approved a historical high cash dividend of 25 NT dollars per common share to all shareholders to be paid on August 8th. Page 22, income statement. In this page, income statement just recap. GWC 2019 first half-year financial results in all listed items: gross profit, EBITDA, operating profits, profits before tax, net profits, EPS, for both amounts and percentage. They were all-time high in company history. All of them had a significant growth than 2018. Page 23, balance sheet. We were continuously increasing company 2019 first half assets to 95.6 billion NT dollars, which was 5.8 billion NT dollars more than 2018 December. This increased amount was mainly coming from 2019 first half cash generated from operating profits. At the same time, we also reduced the short-term loan from 5 billion NT dollars in 2018 December to only 0.58 billion NT dollars left by first half. Besides, please note, the increasing liabilities were mainly caused by the 10.8 billion NT dollars dividends we are going to pay this Friday. Above is my presentation for 2019 Q2 financial results. Thank you. Next, I would like to hand over to Doris for Q&A session. Doris, please.
Thank you, William.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to register for a question, please press star 1 on your telephone. Thank you. Our first question comes from Hans Liu with Credit Suisse in Taiwan. Please go ahead.
Hi, Doris. William. Congratulations on the good results, and thanks for taking my questions. So my first question would be on your 3Q outlook. What is your current expectation for 3Q shipment growth, factoring memory utilization cuts and some inventory depletion at the foundry?
Okay. Thanks for your question. I think in general, memory's inventory is the highest so far, or I should put it this way, that the improvement for memory inventory is much lower than the other applications. Most of our foundry customers and logic customers, in general, I think their inventory correction is basically, some of them have already digested a lot in Q2, but definitely the second half of the year, throughout the whole second half of the year, inventory correction will continue, but it will be much more moderate than the first half. Memory is the only, from our viewpoint, memory seems that the inventory is still a little bit higher than the other. Maybe the memory inventory correction will be lasting for a couple more quarters than the other products. That's our view.
Okay, thank you. So my second question will be on the spot and contract price. How is the price now for your contract price versus the spot market price? And how much of your demand is on non-LTA now? And with your customers' raw wafer inventory level staying at a pretty high level, probably through the end of 2019, do you still expect full year pricing to rise?
Yes. Our LTA price is definitely higher than spot price now. Spot price in Q2, spot price is a bit lower than Q1 spot price. So that means that the gap of LTA price versus spot price in Q2 is a little bit bigger than the gap in Q1. That's our view. But for our LTA price, our second half, our Q2 LTA price is still slightly higher than Q1. So we hold off our LTA prices. That's our strategy, and most of our customers, I think it's tough for customers, but most of our customers understood and they accept this arrangement. So I think LTA price will remain very steady, and even next year, I think LTA price, according to GWC overall LTA average price, I think our 2020 LTA price will be still very stable, very flat or slightly higher than this year's LTA price. That doesn't mean that our LTA, if we compare apples to apples, that doesn't mean that next year our LTA price will be, if we compare with apple to apple, that doesn't mean that the price is higher than this year. But, the ASP price, 2020 ASP price higher than our 2019 LTA price is mainly because of the difference of product mix. We have more and more LTAs for higher end products. For example, SOI products, we have more SOI LTAs from the second half of 2019 and 2020. So the ASP, our overall ASP price improvement in 2020 is mainly driven, is contributed by the product mix, improvement. That's one of the to answer your. That's what part of the answer to your question. And right now, some of the analysts or investors, they thought that maybe spot price can be very low right now, but actually this is not the case right now, because most of our customers are working on their inventory correction. So what they care most is to bring the inventory level down instead of to buy more low price spot volume to increase their overall inventory. So that's why I think at least for GWC, most of our transactions are still LTA based, not so many spot deals, spot business yet. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to follow up on the non-LTA business. Could you share how much of your revenue is from non-LTA capacity now?
It's very hard to define. I think in general, if we include all diameter, I think it's about 1/4 of our revenue is from non-LTA business. Because I think I explained several times that our small diameters are we don't have that many LTAs to cover our small diameters. And our small diameter, which means that lower than or equal to 6-inch, that part, that's around 15% of our total revenue. The weight of our small diameter revenue is around 15% of our revenue, and most of them are just about 50% of them are non-LTA covered. So in general, if we put all diameter all in, then I would say that around 1/4 of our revenue is from non-LTA.
Okay, thank you. My last question will be on your LTA capacity in 2020. How much of your capacity in 2020 is already protected by LTA with better pricing? And how much do you still need to sign with your customers, and your expectation for LTA for 2020 and beyond? Thank you.
Thanks for asking this sensitive question, but I'm sorry that this is very confidential and sensitive for the company. I cannot disclose full detail, but I can let you know that we still have pretty high LTAs in 2020. But it's a little bit lower than 2019, though.
Okay, thank you, Doris and William.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Donnie Tan with Nomura in Taiwan. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair Lady and William. My first question is regarding to the new materials such as silicon carbide, gallium nitride, and SOI. So from your perspective, which material will grow faster in the coming years from your perspective? And is it possible that you can quantify the sales contribution from either SOI or silicon carbide and gallium nitride in 2020 or in the next few years? And my second question is regarding to Japan and Korea's trade tension. Do you think that GlobalWafers will be able to benefit from these two countries' trade tension? Because these two countries both have quite meaningful raw wafer capacity and raw wafer vendors there. So I'm not sure whether it's an opportunity or risk from your perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tony, for your question. For new material, I think if we're talking about growth rate percentage-wise, I would say that silicon carbide CAGR in the next 5 years, GWC will be higher than float zone or SOI or gallium nitride CAGR-wise, growth percentage-wise. But if we are talking about absolute number, the real revenue number, I would say that SOI and float zone, these two are very close, much higher than SiC or gallium nitride for now. These two products, SOI and float zone, these two are not, not as big as our 300 millimeter revenue or 200 millimeter revenue now yet, but they are much bigger than silicon carbide, and they keep growing. The last 2 years, I think both of these two products, their growth rate in the last 2 years were both over 50%. 2019 float zone revenue will be around 50% higher than our 2018 float zone revenue. And our SOI also, our SOI 2019 revenue will be around 50% higher than last year. So these two products, these two BU will keep growing steadily but aggressively in the next several years. But percentage-wise, silicon carbide will be much stronger than this one. However, silicon carbide now is very small. So if you are talking about absolute number, actually float zone SOI will be still bigger in the next 2-3 years. In gallium nitride, matter of fact, gallium nitride, I didn't talk much about gallium nitride on silicon, but I think gallium nitride will be one of our fastest growing new material as well. Growth rate-wise, I think it will be still lower than silicon carbide. Silicon carbide will be growth rate-wise, it will be number one, but gallium nitride will be very strong as well. So far, it is highly related to some advanced technology, especially some RF applications and 5G applications. So some of the applications are delayed due to some macro uncertainty, but I think in general, the future will be here. The future is here, actually. So it will come. And your second question, talking about Japan-Korea thing, is very complicated. It's more complicated than what we anticipated at the very beginning. And so far, actually, it's not very clear yet. You are right that this is good and bad for us. GWC has 5 fabs in Japan, and we have a big 300 millimeter fab in Korea. So I think I mentioned a key word in my presentation, page 3, earlier this presentation. I talked about localization and global footprint. Those are GWC's strengths. We have local supply in many countries. That means that we have very good global footprint. And we feel that Tony, this is the very first time in the last 10 years that I felt that for the first time, I realized that many of our customers, they mention about localization. They talk about local supply as one of their risk management countermeasure. So I think that because of our big fab in Korea and close relationship with Korea customer, maybe we will be able to get a little bit more support from Korea customer. And because of 5 fabs in Japan, so if there is anything geopolitical, maybe we will be able to support to give our Japanese customer a little bit more support than overseas suppliers. But so far this is still too early to call. I think a lot of uncertainties, and we don't have a crystal ball, and I really don't know that those political things, how things are going to develop. So far it's still not very clear for us. We think that we do our best as a local supplier and also as a global supplier. Thank you. That's all for your question, Donnie. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairlady.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Roland Shu with Citi in Taiwan. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question. First question is I'm wondering if I missed your 3Q guidance or not. Can you talk about your 3Q revenue and gross margin guidance?
Thank you. Short answer to your question, you didn't miss anything because I didn't say any outlook. That's our company policy. We don't really give outlook to the market. Thank you.
So how about the whole year revenue? I think in your AGN, you expect the whole year 2019 revenue to grow slightly. So do you still hold the same view at this moment?
Actually, I think the whole global uncertainties are worse than my expectation at AGM. So I would say that maybe 2019 will be flat as our 2018, or slightly lower or slightly better. So very close to last year. But I mean, it's of course pretty much affected by how soon, how smart the political people can solve the global issues. And I mean, for now, I have no idea how to calculate, how to factor in the impact from those uncertainties yet. But basically, in general, I think no matter bottom line or top line, I think our overall performance should be very close to last year.
And you mean the whole year, last year, or the second half versus the second half last year?
No, I mean the whole year. The whole 2019 overall performance will be very close to 2018.
Okay, in both of the top line and bottom line.
So far, that's our expectation for now. And of course, in the last couple of days, it seems that China, U.S., the tension is getting a little bit higher than what we anticipated earlier. So I don't know that if there will be any new development on this one.
Okay, thanks. And then for you said for your memory customer, the inventory level is still high, and also you talk about you probably will be offer some shipment flexibility for this customer with some inventory issue. So can you elaborate more how you are going to or what kind of flexibility you are going to offering to your customer with this inventory issue in second half?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I did say that our seems that memory inventory is higher, but please allow me to make myself a little more clear. I meant that our memory customers' inventory, they are improving. They are doing the inventory correction as well, and they are improving their inventory as well. But compared with the other discrete or logic or automotive-related components, compared with the other applications, it seems that the digestion, the improvement of memory, they are improving as well, but the improvement is not as big as the other applications. So they are improving, but not as much as the other applications. That's what I meant earlier. And to answer your question, that we try our best to provide flexible shipment plan to our customer, LTA customer. We will keep doing so in the second half. That means that if our customers, if their inventory is really high and they do want to improve their their inventory level to a little bit healthier level, as long as we can manage, we will do our very best to support our customers. That means that, for example, if they, according to LTA, if they have to take 100 wafers from us in the second half, but they want to, because of high inventory, so maybe they said that, oh, okay, can I take only 85 wafers and 15 wafers push out to Q1 next year? For most of the cases, as long as that we don't have huge WIP, I think we will do our very best as a long-term partner. We will do our best to support our customer for their flexible shipment. That's what I meant for the flexible LTA shipment.
So for this flexibility for LTA shipment, is this one of the reasons now you have a little bit conservative whole year revenue outlook compared to AGM times?
Yes, that's exactly right. I could force all of our customers to honor the LTA, 100% honor the LTA, take whatever you committed on the LTAs. That I could have done this by according to the contract. By law, I can do whatever, ask them to honor their contract. Otherwise, I can pocket their prepayment. I could have done this, but this is not our policy. GWC want to be a real long-term partner with all of our strategic customers. So I know that all of our customers are trying to improve their inventory, so we accept flexible. Our policy is that no renegotiate on the pricing, so we hold the pricing. So the pricing remain intact, so that we hold the price, but we try to do our very best to accommodate our customers' inventory correction approach. So that means that we try our best to extend, if needed, we extend the LTA a little bit for 1 quarter, 2 more quarters for our customers to make sure that their inventory level is healthier, and also they will have some flexibility to change their product mix as well. So that you are very right. That is the main reason that why we are a little bit more conservative on our 2019 revenue. If we push all of our customers to follow their LTA volume, then I think no concern. I think our revenue this year will be, we will have a much higher revenue than 2018. But that's not our policy. We try to be more flexible for our LTA partner.
Understood. Thank you. My last question is, in your annual report, you talk about you already completed this R&D for 7nm wafers last year. Question is this 7nm wafers for logic, for foundry, or for IDM? Have you shipped any 7nm wafers this year, or when you are going to ship these 7nm wafers?
Yes, we are delivering those advanced node products to customers now. Mass production.
Okay. So can you discuss deliver to customer in which region?
I'm sorry that there are not that many customers out there, so sorry we cannot talk too much about this one. Thank you.
So is that 7nm for logic, for foundry applications?
Yeah, so sorry I cannot make too much detailed comments on this part. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Sunny Lin with UBS in Taiwan. Please go ahead.
Hi, Doris, William. Thank you for taking my questions. Congratulations again for the pretty steady results for Q2. So I have a few questions. Number one, I would like to follow up on the LTA for 2020. So I'm just wondering what's your strategy for the new LTA in terms of pricing and what's customers' attitude. And your prepayment amount as of Q2 has been pretty flat since Q4 last year. Is this because of the initial prepayment for Korea expansion, offsetting the conversion for first half, or are there any other drivers? And then I have a few other questions.
Okay, thanks for your question. First of all, for our LTA pricing strategy for 2020, all of our LTAs from day one, the day we signed the LTA, we have already fixed the price. If that LTA is all the way through 2020 or 2022, 2023, the prices have already been fixed on day one, and the prices are not renegotiable. So our 2020 LTA price are either flat, same as 2019, or slightly higher than 2020. But as I said earlier, that our average LTA price for 2020 will be a little bit higher than 2019. It's mainly because of the product mix change, product mix improvement. And of course, we are signing some new LTAs for 2020 as well. This year, 2019, we signed some new LTAs as well. And those new LTAs price are either flat or a little bit, we have some special mechanism to calculate those new LTAs. So basically, our new LTA price are very close to our old LTA, means that the ones we signed earlier, maybe in 2018, early 2018, we signed a lot of LTAs, multiple years LTAs. So in general, our LTA price for 2020 is slightly higher than LTA price of 2019. And your second question was about prepayment. You're right that our total prepayment amount is very flat compared with last quarter. Our prepayment amount is about 22.3 billion NT as of end of June, and it was very close to last quarter or end of last year. This prepayment include the prepayment for our Korean expansion, of course. So Korea expansion is part of the prepayment for the Korea expansion is part of this 22.3 billion. But it's not all for that one. We have dozens of LTAs. Every single LTA is with prepayment. And that the Korean expansion is just a part of the LTAs. And for your information, actually, we had the new LTA concluded in Q2. In Q2 2019, we concluded some new LTA as well with prepayment, and we return prepayment to our customers when they attain their LTA commitment as well. One of the reasons why the LTA, it seems that the prepayment remained very flat in the last several quarters. I think one of the main reasons for this is that because you remember that we offer customers some flexibility on shipment. So that means that if they take 100% of their volumes in Q1, then they get refund at the end of Q1. But if they, for example, if they take only 90% of their Q1 volume, then of course the repayment will be delayed a little bit as well. So that is part of the reason why it seems that the repayment is a little bit slow. So that's part of the reason. I hope I made myself clear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. I have another question on CAPEX. So wondering if we can get your initial sense about CAPEX for 2020 and 2021. So for next year, as you are ramping the Korea project, so I would expect CAPEX to be flattish, maybe from this year. But how about 2021? Given the expansion lead time is about 18 months, so I assume you likely have had some planning for 2021 as of now. And if you are expanding, what will be the justification for the expansion, like in terms of the target pricing versus current LTA or spot?
Yes. I think the peak of our CAPEX is 2019. Actually the second half of 2019 and the first half of 2020 should be the peak of our CAPEX. We adjusted this a little bit because we intentionally adjusted the schedule or the equipment moving a little bit, not much. So after mid-2020, I think we will significantly, in 2021, I think our CAPEX will significantly lower than 2020. So 2020's overall CapEx will be higher than 2019, and this is mainly from the Korea expansion. In 2021, supposed to be significantly lower than 2020. One possible exception is silicon carbide expansion. If we win some big project and have some good commitment from our customer, then it's likely that maybe we will make 2x, 3x expansion for our silicon carbide as well in the next several years. But this is not a firm plan yet. We are working on some special projects. So if we win some special project and if our customers confirm, give us commitment for the next several years expansion, the ramp up, then it's likely that maybe we will have extra CapEx for silicon carbide from 2021.
I see. Is it fair to say for the future expansion beyond 2020, you will prioritize the CapEx to the specialty products instead of the pure silicon?
That is correct. Maybe there will be some, for silicon, I think there will be two more area. Maybe we will put a little bit more CapEx even after 2020. You know, the main CapEx we are doing right now, planning in our plan right now is for 300 millimeter expansion, which is in Korea right now. And that's the major part of our silicon expansion. But beyond this one, I think it's likely that we will have some CapEx, not as big as the Korean one, but we will have some silicon CapEx as well in the next maybe 2 years, 2020, or second half 2020 or 2021, which is 300 millimeter specialty wafer, advanced wafer, but that's silicon. I'm talking about silicon wafer. So that is possible as well. So we are working on this one, and it's likely that many of our power-related customers, they are trying to migrate to 300 millimeter and very advanced, very special specs. And maybe we are working very closely with several big partners. If everything is smooth, it's likely that we will make further expansion on this part. And also another BU, maybe we will have some expansion is SOI. It's also possible that maybe we'll be a little bit more aggressive for SOI as well. But this is not the firm plan yet. I mean that these are the potential silicon expansion, but those are not firm. Except those two, I think most of the new expansion will be mainly for specialty material or compound material, wide bandgap material. That will be the direction. That will be the forecast now. But all of these those are not firm. There is no firm plan yet for this. We're still working with some strategic partner to finalize several key factors now. Thank you.
Got it. Yeah. So I have very last question, if I may. So I think apparently the short-term uncertainty is increasing. But if we look beyond into 2020 and 2021, I think overall most of the suppliers appear to be more conservative into the expansion beyond 2020. So would it be possible that we see a slower, maybe first half of 2020, and then follow up by a pretty broad recovery from second half of next year?
Yeah, that is our view as well. I think that right now all the slowdowns and all the issues right now in the industry, none of them are industry issues. All of them are macro uncertainties. Nothing much. I think that there are so many new technologies, new innovations, and new breakthroughs, a lot of new applications ready to launch to the market. So from industry's viewpoint or from midterm, long-term perspective, I think it's very clear that the market will grow very healthily. And on the other hand, if we check the supply side, because of the macro uncertainty, actually most of the companies are slowing down their further expansion. GWC, so does GWC. We slowed down, except our Korean, which we are almost finished our expansion. I think we will be more cautious, will slow down our expansion. So the market will recover, and tight supply will happen very soon again. Maybe 2 years from now, we'll see very tight supply again.
I see. So for your Korea expansion, it's still scheduled to ramp from Q1 next year?
Yes, that is the plan, or maybe a couple months delay, but definitely not much.
Got it. That's all from me. Thank you very much, Doris.
Thanks a lot for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Sebastian Ho with CLSA in Taiwan. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for taking my questions. I'd like to go back to the Doris, your prepared remark on the customer inventory situation. You're saying that is getting digested and will continue to get digested through the second half of this year. So I wonder, are you referring to the customer's chip inventory or customer's raw wafer inventory?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Actually, I was talking about the overall inventory. But definitely, first of all, that's their chip inventory and finished good inventory. Our customers, because when we check their financial report, we can see their inventory as a whole. So when they talk about DOI, day of inventory, they're talking about all of their WIP, WIP, raw material, and finished goods. They digest. What we are seeing now is that our customers aggressively digest their finished good inventory in their pipeline, and then next step is try to. What I said earlier in my presentation was talking about that we see the inventory improvement or inventory correction to a very healthy level. But if you check the utilization rate, actually, customer improves their inventory correction more than their utilization improvement. Their utilization rate remains not so much improvement, and the main reason now is because that they want to digest finished goods first. That's our understanding. So that means that even their inventory is improving, that doesn't mean that they will need to input more wafers, start more wafers, or increase their loading immediately from second half. So it usually takes a couple months. There's always a gap. If their total inventory, for example, is 90 days or 80 days, they will digest their finished goods first before they raise their utilization rate. That's our view.
Okay, got it. So do you have any view on the raw wafer inventory that the customers have so far?
We don't really have, customers don't really break down so detailed, but our account managers, they know. We work very closely with our customers. We need to know that how much wafer inventory you have on hand. So we know that our customers' raw wafer inventory is going down as well, but the speed, the decrease is not as aggressive as the finished good.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. My next question is on the LTA coverage. So I wonder what's the average LTA coverage time span you have?
I think in general, most of them are. Yeah, I mean, we have the shortest is 2 years. The longest is close to 10 years. So I think majority is somewhere around 3 years, roughly. Most of them are 3 years LTAs.
3 years, and this starts from 2018?
Yes, most of them are from 2018.
2018 January. So most of them will not expire until the end of next year.
Not 2018 January. Some of them mid-2018. Some of them early 2018. So different date, different starting dates.
Okay, so that's why you're pretty confident that next year the LTA coverage will still be relatively high level, although it's lower than this year.
That is right. That is one of the reasons. Another reason is because that you know that we accepted some extension as well. So many of our customers cannot fulfill their committed volume this year. So we intentionally extend 1 quarter. For example, if their original expired date is end of mid 2020, then because of their shortfall this year, so we intentionally extend 2 more quarters of their LTA. That's why the LTA expired date will be a little bit longer than their original expired date because of the extension.
Okay, got it. My next question is just to follow on the prepayment you have, about like 22 billion as of June, and have you recognized all the like 438 million capex prepayment for Korean fab expansion in that numbers yet?
The prepayment is included in that 22.3 billion, the prepayment, and we don't really. Let me explain this way: that we don't really link this money with the capex. That the LTA doesn't work that way. The LTA means that how many wafers you are going to buy at what price and how much prepayment you are going to pay to us, and we have already received the full amount of prepayment. So the repayment is not linked with the capex completion. The repayment linked with the wafer purchase. So when they purchase 1 wafer, they get refunds. They get the repayment how many dollars per wafer purchase. So I mean that accounting wise, we have the prepayment in our balance sheet. It's not in our revenue, not in our profit. It's on our balance sheet. And capex wise, when the capex starts, it will be on our depreciation or capex. But these 2 numbers in our accounting, these 2 numbers are not related. We don't link these 2 numbers.
Okay, but sorry, I just want to clarify that. I think that earlier, if I probably could my remembers maybe not so good, but I have this impression that you guys were saying that the Korean fab was fully funded, fully prepaid. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. That means that those Korean LTA's total prepayment amount is greater than or equal to our needed capex for that expansion.
Okay. So this may be like a installment, kind of the concept. So now the prepayment that related to this Korean factor may be still lower than the 438 capex for now.
No, it's higher than.
It's higher than that. Okay, yeah. It's higher than that.
Right. Oh. We received full prepayment, although we haven't finished it. And that's the installment concept. We set 3 installments, but we have received all of those 3 installments. So we have received full amount of prepayment already for those Korean LTAs.
Okay, so it's already included in the 22 billion. Okay, got it. Thanks for that. How about the depreciation? I remember your depreciation forecast for this year would be flat. How about next year?
Next year, I don't have the number yet, but I think it will be slightly higher than this year because of the new capacity.
Right, and you adopt the 5-year or 6-year depreciation straight line method?
That depends on the tool, the equipment. So we have some special definition for different, for example, construction facilities and this kind of tools. A lot of detail. So that's different.
Okay, so you're technically speaking, you start recognize depreciation on the day you start manufacturing wafers.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay, my last question is just follow on the silicon carbide, because this looks interesting. You also have an announcement that you signed a long-term contract to lock in the long time with GTAT. So I'm curious about this one. That can you elaborate more on your plan here? And is it based on the 4-inch or 6-inch? And are you doing just the substrate or doing epi? And when do you expect the revenue contribution to come in?
Yeah. Yes. First of all, GWC, we have silicon carbide all the way from ingot growing to wafering, polishing, everything. We don't have epi for now. But our ingot growing, we focus on our in-house silicon carbide ingot growing, we focus on semi-insulating silicon carbide. We grow N-type silicon carbide as well, but that is not our first priority because our ingot capacity is limited, so we focus on semi-insulating silicon carbide. And semi-insulating silicon carbide is under export control, so we need to have our supply local. And that is why we work with a partner to secure this N-type silicon carbide, and we're talking about 100% 6-inch for today, and we'll be migrating to 8-inch in the very near future. That's the plan. But for now, the current LTA is to secure 100% of the 6-inch silicon carbide, N-type silicon carbide crystal. That is the plan. So we focus on our internal production is that we focus on semi-insulating silicon carbide crystal growing, and we do all of the wafering, various kind of wafering. We do all the thinning process. We produce thin and ultra thin silicon carbide wafers for our special customers, special project, and also maybe in the near future, if needed, we will develop our own silicon carbide and silicon carbide epi process as well. But we don't have any silicon carbide epi process developed now. And if we're talking about the revenue contribution, I think we will start seeing revenue contribution from 2020, or I would say that from mid-2020. We will start seeing some small number from the first half of 2020, the silicon carbide revenue from first half, but not significant. We will see more ramp up from the second half of next year.
Okay, so thank you. So would that be, I understand you're on the qualification with multiple customers. So for the first batch of the revenue, we'd like to see mid of next year. Is that related to automotive?
Yes, most of them are automotive, and some are power device for non-automotive. And for SiC, for semi-insulating SiC, quite some of them are for RF-related applications.
Okay, last follow-up on this one is I understand that some of the most of the silicon carbide guys they are doing this. They develop their own equipment or furnace. So I wondering what's the strategy for Global Wafer here?
For silicon carbide crystal, first of all, we design our silicon pullers as well. We have our own silicon pullers. But for silicon carbide, right now, we buy a market silicon carbide pullers, and we revise, upgrade the furnaces, and we redesign. We design our own hot zone and the whole mechanical design. Day one, we purchased a silicon carbide furnace from some other company.
So that won't be a bottleneck.
That won't be the bottleneck, but if you are talking about expansion, how soon you can have the capacity ready for a big ramp up, I think that our partner, that is part of the reason why we want to have our crystal LTA partner with GTAT. The reason is that, GTAT is a tool supplier. They design, they have their own tool, they have their own crystal line. So whenever we need to ramp 2x, 3x, they can ramp up in a much shorter period of time than than GWC or most of the company in the industry. And same here in Taiwan. If we need to make 2x, 3x expansion for our wafering, I think because of our huge wafering capacity, I mean all kind of capacity, silicon carbide, gallium nitride. We have a lot of silicon, so basically all of our facility for wafering is very ready. So our ramp up, whenever we need to ramp 2x, 3x of our capacity for silicon carbide wafering, our lead time will be much shorter than the market average. So that means that if we work with GTAT for N-type crystal, whenever we need to make further expansion, they can deliver the ramp up in a very short period of time, and we too for wafering. So that means we work together, we can shorten our lead time whenever we need to expand to the market.
Got it. That's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Charlie Chan with Morgan Stanley in Hong Kong. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, Doris. Hi, William. So, first of all, my question is about the potential Chinese player competition because a lot of news flow is still suggesting China players they are getting government funding and they seem to have some shipments. So, when do you think that competition will become a real threat to GWC or the industry? Thanks.
Thanks for your question. I think you were talking about silicon wafer, right? From China, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let me put it this way: that for silicon wafer, I think 300 millimeter will be more challenging than 200 millimeter. 200 millimeter right now, there are some suppliers in China. They are close. They have their capacity and they are getting closer. I think that it will be, I think maybe 3-4 years, maybe the quality will be close. But I think in general, for 300 millimeter, I think it will take a little bit more time, especially if we're talking about advanced material. I think it will be getting more and more difficult. I think for silicon wafer, the market side is that the spec, our customer keep changing the spec, tighten the spec almost every year. So the wafer specs are getting more and more difficult, and that is why it's not only for newcomer in China, but also even the existing company like Xinyezu Sumco, GWC, or Siltronic, or LG Siltron. All the existing companies need to invest a lot of R&D to improve our technology every day because customer specs keep changing, tightening every quarter. So I think that it's a moving target. China is getting closer, but the wafer specs is getting tighter as well. So I think it takes a while, but 200 millimeters definitely will be easier than 300 millimeter.
Okay, so even if the 200 millimeter wafers is easier, it still take 3 to 4 years. Is that what you suggest?
Yes. That's our view, and part of the reason is because that it's more a financial, commercial reason. Is that, I mean, if our customers can easily get a lot of Japanese-made or Korean-made or Taiwanese-made 8-inch wafer at they have qualified. They've been using millions of wafers from these customers for automotive, for a lot of things, and a lot of lessons both parties who learned in the past several decades for different applications. If customers easily can get needed capacity from Xinyezu Sumco or these very good wafer companies, then I think they will not be so eager to make a lot of effort to qualify new vendors. For 200 millimeter, the price, the cost of silicon wafer cost is just about 10-20% on the BOM cost. So it's not a huge cost, but any yield loss or reliability issue could cause much bigger loss than just simply some saving. So I would say that it's part of the reason is because of customers' willingness to qualify new vendor. If they can get a lot of very good quality wafer, mature wafer from the market, easily can get this, would they be still so willing to qualify new vendors or not? Just because of the small saving, would that make sense for our customers or not? This is some part of the reason of the long readiness of Chinese newcomer, new wafer supplier. That's our view. But of course, there could be some other reason to change this a little bit. That's just like what we explained, that if for some geopolitical reasons that China need to have some local supply, when localization is a must, then no matter how ready China is, I think maybe some of our customers will have to qualify some supplier in China just in order to get some China business, and they have to use Japanese wafer supply for some Japanese project. So maybe if that kind of special macro issue happen or a geopolitical issue happen, maybe that will make the whole business allocation a little bit different. That's our view so far. Sorry, I cannot hear you. Sorry.
Because of time reason, we have to conclude the call quickly. Charlie, could you repeat your question again?
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So near-term, even due to cut production and have your production, and also for the quarter, how you can give the revenue guidance of blended ASP refreshment, and you give us some color? And
I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm very sorry, Charlie. I cannot hear you. Could you please maybe send us an email? We can reply by email. I don't know what's the
it's not better. My question is about your in second half, your production in second half.
Sorry, I still cannot hear you.
Yeah, Charlie is not clear to everyone. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Charlie,
maybe
sorry about that. Charlie, please email us your question. I definitely will reply. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Maybe last time, production, you need to have production in half.
No, Charlie, it's not very clear. Could you write Doris an email, and she will reply your email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, because of the time reason, we will conclude the call right now. Thank you, Doris, William, and everyone for participating in the conference. We wish you had a very good day. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation. This concludes the conference.